evening once again and a very warm welcome to Rwanda Television News. My name is Gloria Mutesi. As we begin this edition of the news, let us inform you that on Saturday afternoon, President Paul Kagame participated in the virtual meeting of the African Union Bureau and chairs of regional economic communities, during which the modalities of holding the AU Summit in February 2021 were discussed. Participants included the AUC chairperson Musa Faki Mahamat, His Excellency Cyril Ramaphosa, who is the current chairman of the African Union, President Uhuru Kenyatta of Kenya, and others. The summit comes at a time the world has continued to struggle with the COVID-19 pandemic that has required extensive international cooperation. 2021 has also seen the long-awaited implementation of African Continental Free Trade Area, with the commencement of trade on January the 1st. Participants in the summit are expected to look into how the pandemic can be dealt with, and widespread vaccinations are yet to begin on the African continent. Now, as Rwanda prepares to mark Heroes Day on February 1st, historians and cultural experts have noted that patriotism has always been part of the Rwandan heritage, and that some of the actions of today's youth indicate that the heritage is being preserved moving forward towards future generations. Saishinore continues.
Gaspar Gahene is 86 years old and lives in Chimirongo here in Kigali City. He explained to us that patriotism has always been part of Rwanda's culture. People would gather and announce that a given individual is a hero based on his integrity, the way he advises others, and how he carries out his duties. Such people were always highly regarded. When they went to war to fight for the kingdom, they always shared their rations with others and were quick to go to the aid of other wounded soldiers. Obviously, picking up a wounded soldier in battle and placing him on your back means you are putting your own life at risk for them. Gaspar emphasizes, however, that today's youth, male or female, do not have to wait for war to prove their bravery or show how patriotic they are, because there are plenty of opportunities to show such qualities on a daily basis. An example of a person doing this is Godlive Mukasarasi, the founder of the organization Sevota, that cares for widows whose spouses were killed during the 1994 genocide against Tutsis in Rwanda. Her organization has so far assisted more than 70,000 people. Heroism requires integrity, sacrifice, and a person to see beyond their own personal needs. You must seek to do what benefits the general public and respect government policies and efforts to this end. You cannot be a hero if you are not well behaved, and this is especially true when it comes to the youth. Young people should be united because you all have different skills and talents that can complement each other. Merging all that can result in good programs in different areas and regions, and that way the authorities can support those efforts through established channels. Regardless, all involved would still have to sacrifice, because any endeavor can only grow when people actually put in the effort required. Officials at the country's Chancery for Heroes, National Orders and Decorations of Honor agree with Godlive, saying young people today should emulate the heroes of the past and learn from the tragedies the country had to endure. I believe if the youth today were to learn from what happened, from the terrible things we had to endure, what caused them and how to avoid them, focusing instead on what can help the country and its people to develop, working together, they can achieve a lot. Our cultural values emphasize unity a lot, proper behavior and hard work. They should take all of these things and use them to strive for long-term development, centering all of it on patriotism. Doing this for their country will allow them to get far in life. Heroes Day this year will have to be marked with the COVID-19 pandemic and its consequences still very much a problem in the country and beyond. This year's theme is focusing on patriotism being a source of pride and value for all Rwandans.
Rwanda on Saturday joined other countries in celebrating the World Neglected Tropical Disease Day. The First Lady, Her Excellency Jeannette Kagame, took to Twitter and said, and I quote, "As we work towards making Rwanda NTD-free by 2024, let's keep in mind that strong health systems make all the difference. Now more than ever, collective efforts are needed to bridge the gaps in our health systems widened by the COVID-19 pandemic if we are to continue fighting back against these preventable diseases." On the same note, the Rwanda Biomedical Center says that it's going to start deworming adults as opposed to just deworming children because 1 in every 2 people have intestinal worms. In Nyarurenzi cell in Majerajere sector in Nyarurenzi district, children under the age of 10 are fetching unsafe water from a nearby swamp, which poses a risk of intestinal worms. If this water is consumed, residents in this area say they are prone to getting intestinal worms. I had the intestinal worms and I had a lot of stomach ache and nausea, which made me not go to work. I would spend my day at home sleeping. If a 10-year-old or a 5-year-old and below gets worms, it retards their growth, affects their appetite, which is a challenge towards them. The administration of Nyarurenzi Health Center says it receives people with gastrointestinal problems, but the numbers are declining as a result of the ongoing awareness campaign that are being done. In the last 3 months, we've had 47 children with gastrointestinal worms and 275 adults. When we compare it to the past, we see that it has decreased because there were times we had between 500 and 700 cases. Several intestinal worms are less now because of the deworming tablets given to children. The NTD technical advisor of the Rwanda Biomedical Center, Dr. RwandaTV Eugene, says that among the 20 diseases that the World Health Organization says are neglected, there are up to 10 in Rwanda, with the commonest being intestinal worms in both children and adults. Among the intestinal worms, there are those acquired orally, such as the Ascaris worm, and others one can get through the skin when they step in mud barefoot. These worms get to the soil through people that don't have toilets and drop their waste in fields. When you practice good hygiene and drink clean water, you can avoid the intestinal worms. In Rwanda, every 1 in 2 persons has intestinal worms, and research conducted in 2014 by the Rwanda Biomedical Center found that among primary school children, 45% had intestinal worms. Dr. RwandaTV says that when the intestinal worms are not treated properly, they have a serious impact on the health of the patient. Gastrointestinal worms are dangerous. They retard children's growth and prevent them from going to school or makes them lose concentration. There are even some unfortunate cases where children die. When pregnant women have these worms, they cause anemia and the child doesn't grow. And even among adults, we've seen reports of people dying from the intestinal worms because they were left untreated for a long time. In general, they affect one's quality of life. According to the Rwanda Biomedical Center, in the fight against intestinal worms, deworming tablets have been free of charge for children since 2008, and that in the coming future, this service shall be extended to adults in the coming days. In addition to intestinal worms, the Rwanda Biomedical Center says a study conducted in 2017 found that in Rwanda, more than 6,000 people suffer from dementia, one of the neglected diseases. Among others include rabies and other diseases in Rwanda. According to the World Health Organization, there are more than 1.7 billion people worldwide who are suffering from a rare disease, which is why a special program has been launched to treat these diseases in the next 10 years, with an expectation of reducing them by 90%. Now, the government of Rwanda has taken note of the UK government announcement banning visitors who have been in or transited through Rwanda. This is a press statement released this evening and is as follows. Kigali, 30th January 2021, the government of Rwanda has taken note of the UK government announcement banning visitors who have been in or transited through Rwanda. Rwanda's overall response to COVID-19, including testing, surveillance, contact tracing, containment, treatment, and reporting has been consistent, transparent, and corroborated by third-party entities. Rwanda is one of the few countries that require PCR COVID test for all departing passengers and all those in transit. Notably, Rwanda did not join in the widespread bans on travelers from UK in December 2020 over the variant discovered in the parts of the UK. Considering the list of countries in the region affected and not affected by the ban, the sparse information communicated to Rwanda does not stand up to scientific scrutiny. The government of Rwanda looks forward to receiving clarifications on the motivations behind this arbitrary decision of the UK government. End of announcement. In other news, youth volunteers in Nyabihu district bordering Rubavu urge residents to adhere to the COVID-19 guidelines to minimize the spread of the COVID-19 virus and learn from the values of Rwandan heroes in protecting their lives from danger. Gabi Muvunyi has more.
25-year-old Justin is one of the volunteers from Rubavu district working in Bugeshi sector bordering Kabatwa in Nyabihu district, where he ensures that no resident from one district crosses over to another without any valid reason due to the current Guma Mukarere restrictions. They can only pass if they have a valid reason approved by the police. There is a message that is sent to them, and without confirmation, we cannot let them pass. Only students and people going to hospital are allowed to pass. The volunteers work from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. with rotating shifts around the clock. They say they come across some difficulties with some individuals that do not want to adhere to the safety regulations. Excluding these minor setbacks, they express much gratitude to be part of a team that is helping in the country. We all have different perspectives on the COVID-19 guidelines when upholding our patriotism. For those who go against the guidelines, we approach the local authorities to assist them in understanding the safety regulations. Rubavu District Volunteer Youth Leader Rabisira Jean Bosco points out that compliance to the safety regulations is a matter of courage. He emphasizes that the values of the Rwandan heroes should be a mirror in our actions to avoid endangering the lives of fellow Rwandans. People can change from the coward mentality to those of heroes. What we ask them is to follow the guidelines, because it is in our interest as citizens, especially with the fact that we do not need to look far to see heroism put in practice. We only need to look to our president, Paul Kagame. There are more than 17,000 volunteers in Rubavu district. Around 300 are involved in COVID-19 prevention campaigns, especially in the areas that large numbers of people gather, like in schools, markets, and hospitals. Gabi Muvunyi for RTV.
27 historically marginalized families in Ngororero district have accused the Rubaya tea factory of stealing land they lent it more than 10 years ago, saying it now claims the plots belong to it. They insist that they are still the rightful owners and not the Rubaya tea factory.
Residents in the area where the land is being disputed say the whole matter arose gradually, seemingly creeping up on them, and the settlement they now live in after being relocated is inside of the hillside they say belongs to them, now used by the factory to grow tea as well as young trees. The head of Muhanda's sector at the time, a man named Mutwarangabo, came and told us they had found investors that would grow tea on our farms for 3 years, after which they would give us the plantation so that we can develop. They said we would be compensated financially for the 3 years we would not be growing crops on our land, which we agreed to, but they insisted that anyone claiming the compensation must first provide written proof that they own land on that hill. We did that, but did not have a say on how much was given to us. When the planting began, they basically took the entire hill. And when we tried to express our dissatisfaction and started arguing with them, almost going to blows, the police arrived and we had to back down.
hari abantu benshi batanga abanyabaturage batanafite imirimo hano babidufashamo nabo babisobanuramo.
Aba baturage bifuza ko ibyo bivuganye n'uruganda byubahirizwa bitari byo bagasubizwa ubutaka bwabo.
All those years ago, but executives there insist that they illegally bought the plots from them. We have proof that the land was actually bought, and I am surprised that more than 10 years after the fact, they have now appeared to claim that the land was stolen from them. The man who was the executive secretary of Muhanda's sector at the time, now a member of the Ngororero District Consultative Council, admitted to us on camera that he had originally advised the local residents to lease their land and not sell it. And now district officials say they asked the factory's executives to send them the alleged proof that they bought the land from the local residents and that it is to be reviewed and the matter resolved in no more than 2 weeks, including mediation efforts between the two sides if needs be. Surprisingly, neither the factory nor the local residents could tell us the exact size of the land under dispute due to its vastness, though the local residents insist they know its borders.
And farmers in Ruhango and Kamonyi districts have asked that the Mukunguri maize flour processing plant begin buying their maize in large quantities because they are normally forced to sell to middlemen at low prices and consume what is left of their harvest. Ghislaine Mugwaneza has more.
Mukunguri maize flour processing plant was fully constructed in Nyamiyaga sector in Kamonyi district by the end of 2020. This factory is capable of providing 30 tons of maize flour per day. Its first production was officially sent on the market, and the residents in Kamonyi district have said that the fact that this factory is near them should be a benefit to them. They said that this factory should think of how they can be business partners while buying their maize production at a good price, for they put effort when cultivating maize.
Uruganda ni uruganda ruracyari rushyashya rutangiye gukora essayage y'ifu muri iyi minsi.
This factory is new. They have just started trying out maize flour in few days. We used to cultivate maize and eat them by ourselves. What we expect from them is that maize cultivation will develop, because we were cultivating while feeling afraid that we won't get market, because it was only eating them or selling them anyhow at a low price. Sometimes we couldn't find someone to buy them, and they would rot in our families. This will never happen again because the factory is here. I think that the factory will buy all maize that we will cultivate. What we want from them is to buy from us at a good and high price, which is better than middlemen that used to buy maize anyhow. The price was 150 Rwandan francs and 200 Rwandan francs when they are few.
Baduhaga hagati y'amafaranga 150 na 200 iyo byabaga bibaye bikeya.
This factory will need at least 7,000 tons per year, which means that maize production will come from Kamonyi, Ruhango and other districts. The head of Mukunguri Rice Promotion and Investment Company that built Mukunguri maize flour processing plant, Uzier Niyonjira, has explained that in plans they have, they're also planning to be close to the farmers in order to have the standard production. We will help them to be capable of taking care of the production while providing drying places for them. Thanks to the government that already provided that, and RAP has started to bring drying machines. We'll also give them machines that would also help, as well as other technology that we are waiting for that will rapid the production process. It would be better to reap while drying the production without delaying. And it was seen that not caring about maize comes from there. So when he doesn't delay and bring them right away, it is easy to get the market. In 2021 agriculture season A, 535 hectares of maize were grown in Nyamiyaga sector, 566 hectares were grown in Mugina sector, and it is expected that 16,000 tons will grow in Kamonyi district during this agriculture season A that is coming to an end. Tadetu Yizere, Kamonyi district mayor, has said that the completion of this factory means a lot to Kamonyi district. He also urged the residents to make an effort in increasing maize production because of the fact that their market is available.
Abahinzi rero bahinga muri ibi bishanga bagira n'imirimo imusozi.
Farmers that cultivate in these swamps also have other fields far away. There are those that used to think that maize and rice are grown in swamps only, But when you follow up, you'll find that maize can be grown anywhere. So when we get a factory like this, they support the crop that they are processing. So that factory being in that sector, we really have big swamps that have maize in them, but they cannot satisfy the factory. So the thing to do is to enlarge the surface, especially on the mountains, so that we grow maize either in swamps or on the mountain, because when you use the same fertilizers as those you use while cultivating in swamps, you'll get the same production.
neza ugakoresha amafumbire ugakoresha imbuto nziza n'umusaruro uva mu gishanga n'umusozi urahava.
Except Mukunguri maize flour processing plant that worthy 270 million Rwandan francs since 2013, Mukunguri Rice Promotion and Investment Company that process rice was also built. All these factories are in the same location and the investor is the same.
Well, that's it for tonight. Thanks for your company. A gentle reminder to please wear your face mask and do all that is required of you to stop the spread of the pandemic, because no one is safe